Figuring Ish Out, episode 28.
Yeah, what up,
Season
Brody?
2, episode 3. You know what it is. You already know who I am, Bunny Flocks. Same sites. Loser perspective, Bunny Flocks. That's not going to change. We got King Author in
See
the
him
building.
scrolling at the bottom. What up, folks? Unify and Thrive. Goddamn. King Author in the building, man. Check out the website. Download the app. Cut the app. You know what time it is. 2020 Faces.
And we have our guest today, Mr. Brian Grimes. How are you doing today? Realtor, mogul, all these things, entrepreneur, real estate guy. Like, what's going on? What's your deal, bro? How you doing today?
That's right.
Good, man. Can't complain. Can't complain.
Is that a hard hat back there? So you building a house or you just buying? What's up, bro? Off the gate, what's up?
Yeah, off the gate, I've done over 300 full gut renovations in the last 5 to 7 years. So I'm always building properties. I've had years where I've built 100 properties. So I'm just always active. I'm kind of in the properties, but also I learned, in order to manage multiple projects, you have to be like air traffic control, really behind the scenes, behind the technology, in order to see and manage multiple deals. But yeah, I'm definitely boots on the ground with it, blue collar with it, but also behind the scenes.
You got the hard hat, you got the working class. So I guess as far as real estate goes, how is the market? Like, is it a buyer?
Hold on, Frank. Hit him with the question, Frank.
Oh, sometimes I forget.
We good.
So our very first question we're supposed to ask every guest is, what was your figuring ish out moment in your life where you became aware of your goal or what you're supposed to do in life, whether it was not being an employee versus being a CEO or being a businessman?
Man, I mean, that's a good question. I had like a aha moment when I was working as a financial advisor in Philly, which is where I'm from. Okay. And I was working right out of college, 100% commission, right? So I'm not making like any salary. So I'm just eating what I kill, grinding, hustling, and ripping and running through the streets, chasing down dollars, basically.
Right.
And I was driving down the street one day, and I knew about real estate. I had friends who were in it. But the moment it really clicked was I was driving down the street, and I was just like counting houses, kind of like spaced out, snowy day. And I'm driving down a block, and I'm like, man, there's 40 properties on this block, $500 a month in cash flow probably from each of these properties. It's like $250,000 a year in cash flow on this block. And I'm thinking about all the blocks in Philly, and I'm just like, man, if I could get one block in my lifetime, that would be like crazy, especially, I'm like in my 20s and just thinking about this stuff. So that was kind of the moment where I was like, man, I got to get into this real estate, because I wanted to get residual income. I wanted money to come in even when I was sleeping, when I wasn't working. I just wanted to get paid over and over again for whatever I did. Yeah, that residual. So that was kind of that moment. It was just kind of lunch break, kind of driving around 9 to 5 and figuring the money. Another part that clicked was I was thinking about how to get like $1 million. Like, how am I going to make $1 million?
I think we've all been there, yeah.
You're at the 9 to 5, and it's like, it ain't here. It's not under the keyboard. It's not behind the trash can. It's not under the desk. It's not in the 9 to 5.
It's like, not in your yearly bonus or your yearly salary increase.
Not for most of us, it's just not there. So I knew it was out in the street. Like, it was going to be the real estate, and real estate's made more millionaires than any other business. So it was just something I knew I had to get into. And as I got further, into that process, I just learned more and more and kept accelerating.
You said you was 20 years old when you was thinking like that, or like...
Definitely. Well, I had some crazy mentors, right? Like, I was really good at basketball. So I grew up in Philly, Allen Iverson era basketball kid.
Right.
I grew to be like 6'5" when I was 13, 14. So I became nationally ranked. My first high school game, they flew us out to Akron, Ohio to play LeBron on his turf. So it's like crazy. And I landed at Columbia University ultimately because I got pulled into prep schools and excelled there. And I got some crazy mentors from like the Ivy League kind of institution mentors. And these guys, like one of these guys that I was interning for in the summer, he was trading on a New York Mercantile Exchange. And they're making millions of dollars. They're working 4 hours a day, trading like options, right? So he sits me down in the pit Like if you've ever seen like Eddie Murphy trading spaces like with Eddie and Dan Aykroyd, like they sit me down in the trading pits and he's like, Brian, you want to go to the NBA, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm 20, 22, 230, like 6'7". And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, I want to play pro. And he's like, how much you think Kobe Bryant made last year? I'm like, I don't know, 18 million, XYZ. He's like, you see that guy over there? I'm like, yeah. He's like, he made $80 million last year.
What?
And I'm like,
wow.
Hey, they probably get a kick out of teach showing people like where you come from, like showing you up, like you think 18 M's a year is good.
Yeah, but it's also it shifts your whole reality, right? Because there are kids who I met in these Ivy League institutions who they grew up, their parents were talking to them like this when they were 6 years old. So they grew up knowing this stuff existed. I didn't know any of this stuff even existed, from where I came from. Nobody was talking to me. So I really appreciated it. And he's just like, yo, this is the NBA. I'm LeBron. That's Kobe. Like, this is the NBA. And it just really shaped my it like warped my whole mindset. Like, it just flipped everything. And I knew finance was like, you can make more money with your mind than your body.
That's facts.
It was definitely transformational. So I had some good people that had me thinking like this.
Okay, that's good, because I was like, bro, 20 years almost up a residual at 20 years old, bro. I was thinking about I wasn't even in college then, so you know what I mean? Like, things were kind of different back then.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about this stuff really early, and I've always been locked in. Like, even now, people are like, how do you get all this stuff done in a day? It's like, yo, I don't go to the club, I don't party, I don't have those types of vices. Yeah, like I wake up, family, hit the park, calisthenics, and then I do real estate. I work, I focus. I'm creating content just all day. That's really just all I do.
Dope. So here it is.
That's major.
You in your 20s, you had your figuring shit out moment. How did it feel, I guess, when you started to grind and you made your first million? Like, take us through that process. Like, when it finalized and manifested for you in reality, like, okay, I could do this. This is reachable.
I think I mean it's still surreal kind of to this day. I mean, when I got into real estate, the thing that really got me over the hump was I ran into this guy, right? There's this guy in Philly, and he's older. He was like maybe 42 at the time, right? And he's a developer, and he put out a YouTube channel. This thing might have had his top video had 400 views, right? Like, almost nobody was watching it, but it was early in the game on YouTube.
Right.
And this guy, he's got his sunglasses on. He's like draped out, like he's an artist by nature, dressed very well, and he's walking in the shells, like tear downs, like complete gut renovation shells. But his confidence was crazy. So I'm looking at him, and he's like, hey, I've never been in this property. Come check it out. Let's go. Opens the door, and it's like the ceiling's caved in, the back walls collapsed, and he's just like, this ain't nothing. We'll be knocking this thing out in 8 to 10 weeks, full gut. And that confidence, that was what I wanted. I didn't even want the money. I wanted the confidence. So I saw it, and I was like, if I could walk into a property that looks like this and have that confidence, I'll become a millionaire. I wanted that confidence, though, because with that confidence, you could conquer, like, I could do anything. So that became the goal. Was I have to put myself in situations, in rehab projects and real estate deals, even if I fail initially, if I can build muscles and get that confidence, it's over. And that was the journey I went down. Eventually I got the confidence, and then before I knew it, I was doing 50 deals a year, and I had 100-person construction crew in-house. And I think when my moment there was when I woke up and I was running a team meeting, and there were 100 men. We were all in a shell. It's 100 men, minorities, all from the community, all working with the company. And we were building together, making money together, putting food on the table. And that was when I was like, man, this is crazy. So it wasn't the money. It's always just been like the confidence, and then creating opportunities and jobs for other people that look like us. That has always been part of my mission, and what I enjoy about this real estate thing. It's really like being they call me like the LeBron James of it, because I'm more of a facilitator. It's like I could take the jumpers, but I like to drop dimes and bring people, teams together, because you are in this game only as strong as your team. If you are a good investor, And I was a lousy investor, but I had 100 men with me. We're going to eat your lunch. Because even if I burn out, I got 100 guys. We're going to outwork you. You're playing 1 on 100. So that's how I like to play real estate.
That's dope. So do you think it was your mentor's confidence and his mindset that took him to success more than so his talent or knowledge about construction? Because some people could say, okay, you go on a spot, you see it's all jacked up and just say, hey, I'm going to fix it. Was that confidence, or was that he knew the game and he knew how to flip that property, or was it a combination of both?
It's the confidence comes from the failure, from getting burned. Like I've had contractors run off with 40,000.
Wow.
And just disappear, right? So you have to go through this school of hard knocks. Confidence is bred either from that or from direct mentorship. If you could deal with somebody who's built hundreds of properties and can show you the game, hold your hand through a deal, you can pick up confidence there. But for a lot of us, we don't know anybody. So the only way to get it is to just go out and test the game. I say start small. A lot of us think like we got to do a big deal. You really should start on a small, single family, relatively cosmetic project, because you'll learn so much just from a small mistake. Like the thing people don't realize is you don't need to work on a $1 million project to get $1 million worth of game from it. You could work on a $50,000 project. A mistake on that project is going to be 500, but the lesson you can apply to the $1 million deal. Now it's $1 million of value from that $500 lesson. So it's just about starting small and learning and building up those muscles. It's just like the gym. Like you don't want to go in and try to bench 400. You're going to have to do your push-ups and work your way up. So you just treat it
try that
like sports, like the gym. And just collapse your chest.
I got this.
That's right. Hey, bro, you talk about a lot my mindset, bro. Like from early on and even now with learning the confidence, right, into even the team, and then going and failing. Like, so what kind of mindset do you think somebody need to have?
I think just generally fearless. Like having some degree of fearlessness is important. Having a fail forward mentality, understanding that
John Maxwell.
Yeah, like you only fail when you stop. Like don't stop, just keep going with it. Definitely, I think what's hard for some of us, and then definitely the generations that are a little younger, is delayed gratification. Like I had that from sports. So I knew like when I started playing sports, like I sucked. Like I was the worst. And then I became nationally ranked. But that was from delayed gratification, putting in hours in the gym and working and getting dunked on and coming back and developing an attitude. And losing is you need to have this delayed gratification attitude. But that's difficult in this social media time space reality where it's like when I was growing up, like I didn't have like TikTok, I wasn't swiping stuff and all of this stuff. Like you just didn't have that access. So we grew up in a different reality. But you do need some of that, because like I said, a lot of us go for the money because we don't have delayed gratification built into our DNA. But if you did, you would go for the confidence, knowing that once you had the confidence, the money, it has to come through. Like there's no way the money can hide from it. So you would just go straight for the confidence.
It reminds me of Napoleon Hill going through Carnegie, right? To get that confidence, right? To go out there and talk to all these people and get that confidence. But once he got the confidence, the rest of the shit, literally history. Literally history.
Yeah.
Build yourself up. Yep. Get to that point. I'm not gonna say I have properties. In my family, we have some properties. We want to eventually maybe rent them out, not necessarily sell them or flip them and just sell them and be gone with them. We want to move out and rent them out and start building a portfolio. So what would you say is the best way to go about that without getting burned? Well, let me ask you, do you just do flips and sales, or do you rent out properties? Do you own property that you rent out for investment, or?
I primarily buy and hold everything. So the saying is, I've never met a developer who didn't regret selling a property. Like whenever you sell something, it usually appreciates in value, and then you're like, man, I shouldn't have sold it. So like buying and holding is the way.
For the most part.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Buy and hold. I think it's all about exit strategies, right? So when you're buying and holding, some of the skill sets you need to build are like the tenanting skill set. Knowing how to screen tenants and deal with people is everything. It's all about underwriting, right? All real estate, if you own the gas station, you need to know how to underwrite whoever's going to come and rent that space commercially from you and run the gas station. If you underwrite poorly, the person who's running it is going to collapse it, and then they're not going to be able to pay the rent.
Right.
Same thing with a regular tenant. So it's and then it gets especially more difficult with like Section 8 affordable housing. How do you underwrite people with bad credit scores or with little to no credit at all? How do you get to that granular level of underwriting? So that was the learning curve, because at first you go with your gut. You're like, oh, I think they're a good person. I think, they're decent. Maybe they say drop the text, say God bless or something. And you're like, I like,
or the sob stories. Yeah, no.
yeah, exactly. I have some crazy stories too, like of tenants that, I had to evict, and some of the just wild cases and scenarios. But going through that was like, it was the same thing as dealing with bad contractors. Like, you get burned by contractors, you learn. You get burned by tenants, then you learn how to underwrite at a level where you can avoid that stuff and you get better. So it's really just dodging minefields, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I hope we don't have to deal with that. But we're probably years away. We're like, we want to move out of here, and then we want to rent this property. But yeah, that's a bridge we'll cross when we get there.
Yeah.
Speaking of family homes, right? So, mine kind of different. So we have one family house left, and it's my granddad's house, right? And his son is living in it, right? So they're a 60s, you know what I mean? What would you suggest we did with it? Because, like I said, it's old. Matter of fact, I heard somebody say you should want to buy a property when it's burnt down, right? When it's not in its best conditions, right? And so I heard that, and like a week later, that house actually caught on fire. Wow. And so they're fixing it up now. So I'm just like, I need to capitalize on the situation. So what would you suggest somebody like me to do?
So this is a property that it needs renovation, and it's kind of in the family, so you could grab it and kind of reposition it. Is what you're saying?
And like, it's in the hood, and like down the street there's like a condo that's been like renovated. Like, there's the other side is out there walking their dogs and jogging, right? But then there's like houses across the street is like brand new, kind of like the house down the street renovated, but this house is still looking like, it just been bought in the 30s or whenever they got it, right?
Got it. Yeah, we call it like a granny home. Like, it's just still got the same design. It's got the drop ceilings.
All original, all everything, floor.
Original
the glass mirror wall. Yeah, for those, I mean, you want to value add these projects. So those can be really good, actually, especially in developing. If it's in the hood, but it's still developing, there will be comparable sales kind of all around it within a mile that you could base your property off of. So if you run the comps, you might have what I call like a developer spread, which would be the property's worth, like, maybe it's worth $100K now, just hypothetical. But if you put in renovation, it would be worth $300,000 if you got it up to the top of the market. So that would give you some wiggle room. If you knew those numbers, you could go out and get a construction loan. They'll give you all the money to renovate the property. And maybe you put $100K into it, it appraises for $300,000. You refinance out of that. So you pull all the money out, and then you just put a tenant in it and rent it out and make some cash flow. And there's different ways that you can rent these properties. One strategy that a lot of us have never heard of is called co-living. And co-living is where I will break down a shell, like a 3-bed, 1-bath starter home. I'll break it down to the 4 walls and build it back into 3 beds, 3 baths, 3 master suites. Each bathroom is only accessible through a bedroom. And then you can rent, and then they all share the kitchen, and you can rent out each suite for maybe $200 less than whatever a studio would go for in like center city of wherever you're at. Right. So if a studio is going for like $1,100 a month, $1,000 a month, you can rent these co-living units for $800 a month. But what it does is it takes like a 3-bed, 1-bath that would rent for $1,250 a month. If you can rent each of those co-living units for $800 a month, now you're getting $2,400 coming in on the same footprint of a property.
And the same square footage,
This 3X is your cash flow coming in every month. So now you go from making $300 a month to, $1,300 a month off of this property. So when you start to explore some of these different alternative strategies, you can rehab these projects and then produce massive amounts of cash flow. You don't need a bazillion properties to make enough money to drop out of the 9-to-5 like permanently.
And you said they shared a kitchen. That was the one common space for them?
Yeah, they would share the kitchen. Okay. Like basically, if you think about like a traditional row home, which there are a lot in New York, there's a lot in Philly, Baltimore, parts of Cleveland, parts of St. Louis. They're kind of all over the country. But you'll have, like, you walk in the front door, you're in the living room, then there's the dining room, then there's the kitchen in the back. You go up the stairs, then there's like 3 beds, one in the front, one in the back, one in the middle, and then a bathroom somewhere in the middle. If you go and blow that house up, you can put a kitchen in the front, flip it all the way to the front. So you open the door, you're in the kitchen. Open, like, eat-in kitchen, we'll call it. Breakfast bar, little living room, but just a little hangout spot. And then behind that on the first floor, you put a co-living unit, a bed, one bath master suite. Then upstairs, you'll have 2 master suites, one in the front, one in the back. And you can rent those suites out and produce a lot of cash flow. And
that's crazy.
There's millions of Americans. Like, you think about it, like, there's Section 8, there's all these low income housing tax credits and voucher programs. Most people don't qualify for that stuff. There are more people living on their parents' couch, their friend's couch, or in a basement somewhere that just can't afford the rent for a 1-bed, 2-bed. When you create this co-living property, you can reduce that rent to an affordable rate. This is actually a solution to the affordable housing crisis. So it's a way to make like serious money, but also solve a problem.
Right. People, and that's good. That's dope.
Are you new in town or need a fresh cut on the fly? Let me show you a convenient way to hire a mobile hair care pro now. Simply download the Cuddy app from the App Store. Create a profile and have access to professional mobile barbers and stylists in your area. The Cuddy app allows you to browse for hair care professionals 24/7. View their profile and share your location to find the nearest one. Once you've found the perfect pro with just a click of a button, have a professional meet you in a matter of minutes. This means no more worrying about running late, waiting for the next chair to open, or missing your appointment completely. Reclaim your valuable time and put your mind at ease knowing your hair care pro is on the way. Cuddy app is the only place to hire a hair care pro whenever you are ready, wherever you are. Cuddy app. Join the revolution today.
That's kind of like a segue to the next question I was going to ask about the current housing situation. Like, depending who you ask, some people are waiting for a crash, some imminent crash to happen. Others, say there's no crash happening, or if there is, it's not going to be that detrimental. And, housing has just gone skyrocket. So from your professional perspective, what is the deal with the current housing market? Like, is it going to crash? Is it all, is it going to stabilize, or what's the deal?
So one thing to keep in mind is the news, they're always going to feed you something on a national level, but because that's how they get clicks, right? That's how they get views. And they're going to feed you negative news and fear. But also the problem with real estate and the news, because they're trying to serve nationally, real estate is micro local. So what's going on in Philly or Connecticut or New York is not going on in LA, Arizona, Boise, Idaho. Like it's way different, right? So depending on where you're at, the market could be crashing to different degrees or resetting to different degrees. The price drops are not as severe in most of these areas, especially in the Northeast, as was projected. So prices are kind of falling less than projected. Interest rates have been rising substantially, but as of us talking now, rates have dropped about 1 percentage point in the last 30 days. So they've actually already started to come back down. And the projection is, as we get into late 2023, maybe the middle of 2024, rates will come down again. Why? Because if you look at all recessions, any recession in U.S. history, the Fed always reduces rates in order to get us out of the recession. They have to do some type of quantitative easing to put money back into the economy to stimulate us out of a recession. We're in a recession right now. So at some point, the Fed's going to have to, unless this is the first time in U.S. history, they're going to reduce rates again and do an about face sometime late next year as inflation gets under control. And when that happens, prices will already be down, right? So now prices are down, then rates come back down. And that means once in a lifetime buying opportunities in a lot of these markets. So for the people who aren't listening to the news, like the people who are tapped into my channel and on my mastermind calls and stuff, we're all getting aggressive. We're like scanning the market every day, teeing up our pre-qualification letters, getting ready to buy, because we know while everybody's sitting on the sideline afraid, there's going to be once in a lifetime buying opportunities. And all of these markets that were sellers markets are now buyers markets. So properties are sitting on the market longer. Most of the buyers have dropped out of the market. All of the hedge funds who are buying properties, they're losing money left and right because they overpaid. So there's this oversupply of property, and there's going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity to buy these discounts, and especially as rates start to tick back down. So it's going to be a window, and a lot of us will miss it because we won't have the knowledge to go and take advantage.
Stay ready or miss it.
Yeah,
that's you, King. You supposed to get a house. Ain't you looking for a credit, bro?
I'm trying. I'm doing my best, bro. I'm getting some extra cash. I'm saving up, working on this credit, bro. I'm working, and
there you go.
like he's saying, it's my time, probably my time to swing at a home run.
Yeah, you get the next. Yeah. We bought a great time. We got early 2020, 2%. You know what I'm saying?
That's great.
It was It wasn't planned. I mean, to be honest, I can't tell you why we weren't. It was just like, we're gonna buy a house this year, and then COVID and everything happened, and the market was just perfect for us. So I can't complain about nothing as far as when we bought. So your projection is, if there is a crash, it's gonna be localized in different areas, but it's not gonna be a nationwide detrimental thing, and everybody's fine. It's just overreaction because the news is gonna do what it do.
Yeah. And the prices aren't going to fall as much as people think, and not as fast. Like the news was saying, in the next 6 months, prices are going to correct 40%. They're not. They're going to correct in most of these markets in the Northeast 10, 15%, and gradually, like 2% a month, not just like overnight. So prices will continue to tick, but as rates go back down, that's going to spur prices. Prices are going to stabilize and go back up. In some of these markets, actually, as of last month, and it might be different now, 95% of metros had actually continued to increase in value as of last month, even with the higher rates. So what's happening is they're not increasing as fast as they were. Prices have been going up year over year, 18 to 20% per year in most of these markets. Now they're going up where they traditionally should go up 2 to 3%. So it feels stagnant or flat, but it's just a different rate. Prices were going crazy because, I mean, look, the Democrats were just flooding money into the system. I mean, it's just helicopter money, man.
That's segue,
Thanks, bro.
So you talk about inflation, right? Like, so we understand that if you flood the economy, the value of the dollar decreases, and everything else, the price increases. So the housing market, right? We could say, well, the reason housing is blown up is because the dollar value is decreasing so much.
Yeah.
Is that so?
No, it is true. It is true.
Right.
More
so
dollars
that's not
in the
necessarily
economy.
making the dollar stronger, right? Your portfolio, your real estate portfolio may look really well on paper with the housing prices now, but that means our dollar is weak. So where's the give and take? Where's the the cutoff? Like, how is that? Is the inflation crisis really good for the economy despite real estate?
The rich get richer. It's America, right? So the rich get richer.
Capitalism, right?
Capitalism, and that's what it is. Assets during inflationary times, people who hold assets do very well. So people who hold real estate can do very well. Even with some of these corrections, you just have those people, they're just not selling. But think about it. If you had 100 properties and they were all cash flowing, rents aren't really going down. Not much, and not nationally, not everywhere. In some markets they are, but in some of the stable markets like the Northeast, in the affordable housing markets, rents are stable and strong. So you're not selling. Maybe you stop buying for a year, but those people are just going to sit on these portfolios and cash flow. And as prices go back up, their portfolios increase in value. They look at they call the bank. How much is my portfolio worth? Oh, it increased 10 million. Send me a check for $2 million.
Let's go.
Tax-free money.
Wow.
This tax code was written for landowners and business owners. So if we want to take advantage, become one or the other. I mean, it's cash flow quadrant. that's what the U.S. tax code was written for, to advantage. So you have to become a business owner or a landowner at some point in order to take advantage of the tax code, or you're just going to pay the most taxes. I mean, it just is what we've been doing, huh? Yeah, I mean, what we all do. This is part of our journey. So, you know, as I got into real estate and really started to learn this stuff, there were years where, you know, I made a ton of money, and on paper, it was like I had losses, like massive losses. But it's like, that's how the tax code works. So you're getting tax refunds, you're getting stimulus checks. You could make $1 million in real estate and still qualify for a stimmy. Like it's like crazy,
right? That's
man.
true. Yeah, depending on what you deduct and how you work the system.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I
definitely need to do some research on. I got a guy. He does my taxes. I don't really dig into that. I just like, do your thing. Deducted and all that. But I need to. I need to spend the time on that, because I plan to become a millionaire one day. So I should definitely.
Real soon, we on the way, bro.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
that's facts. That's physics.
So, Brian, I heard you mention developer a couple times, right? So, are you a broker? Are you a real estate agent? Are you a developer? Like, what's you and what's, you know what I mean? Like, what's the difference between the three? You feel me?
Yeah, no, these are great questions. So, like, a realtor essentially gets a commission. They are a broker. So I would call like an agent, a realtor, a broker. There's mortgage brokers, right? They get paid commissions off of the mortgages they issue. A realtor or agent, they get paid a commission off the deals they move. So they're getting like 3 to 6% off of the sales price on the deals that they move. The developer pays everybody. I'm a developer. And what the developer is the person who buys who is like the investor. We buy the properties, we locate them, we buy them, we get them financed through different lenders. And then we take on the construction responsibility to rehab these properties, monetize them, put the tenants in place, property manage them long-term, and repeat that process. And as the developer, I started to, when I got into real estate, follow the money. So you think like, well, how do you make the most money in real estate? You become a developer. How do I know that the developer makes the most money? Well, they pay everybody. So it's kind of like, who makes more money, Shaq or the owner of the Lakers?
Of course.
You know, if he's writing the check to Shaq, then he must be making more money, right? Like, or he wouldn't have the money to pay Shaq $30 million a year.
Right.
So,
and Shaq is not his partner.
Yeah, exactly. So, so the developer is paying the lender, they're paying the contractors, they're paying the realtors, they're paying the mortgage brokers. Everybody's getting fees off of the developer's activity. So I focus myself and then all my people, my mentees, people who are in my mentorship program, on how to become a developer and how to be that person who becomes like the plug and who is responsible for generating the revenue streams that everybody gets paid off of, because that it's just the fastest way to get to the money, to the big money and the big tax advantages and tax write-offs and deductions.
Are you looking for a media agency that covers all the creative tasks that make a business successful? Lucid Perspective produces elegant, high-resolution graphics and logos, high-definition and 4K video, complete with treatment concepts and innovative editing. Lucid Perspective provides photography services such as fashion, advertisements, product or service, and aerial photography. We also help businesses build their brands from the ground up with complete campaigns that will make your business attractive to your target audience. We can bring your brand to the masses with our effective and strategic marketing campaigns to include sales funnels, eye-catching advertisements, breakthrough digital marketing through social media, and other digital avenues. Visit lucidperspective.com today. So you mentioned a mentorship program. Can you talk about that a little bit?
On the site now, looking at it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I have. I mean, I started my 100 Keys masterclass, and that was by kind of like, you know, when you have success in anything, people want to pick your brain. So they're like, hey, let's go to get a cup of coffee. Let's grab some lunch. I'm sure you know, you guys have that as well. And I got to a level where it's like, I can't really give you this game at a cup of coffee or a lunch. It's 10 years. It's a decade's worth of game and trials and tribulations. And there's so much knowledge. So I went into the Bat Cave and I put together this program so that it was like, when people start coming to me, I'm like, hey, tap into the program, because I put the whole decade plus of knowledge, 300 full gut renovations of knowledge in the program. So that's there, and people can tap in. And I have like a VIP level to it where I work one-on-one with people as well. One-on-one Zoom calls, texting, email. And I'm really like helping them to do deals. I also have this program that I developed. One of my people who was in the VIP challenged me, and they're like, Brian, how do I skip all this and just become you? Like I want to just become you, right?
You want to clone.
And I'm like, well, what am I? You know, so I had to sit back. What does that even mean? And what it means is like, how can you just point and say, this looks like a good deal, I want to do it, get it financed, get contractors in there building the property, and then have it all kind of done for you. So how could they tap into my resources? So I created this boots on the ground program where I build houses for people in Philly, whether they want to buy and flip them or buy and hold them. I plug them into my 100% lenders. There are lenders that'll give you 100% of the money to acquire and rehab properties. Nice. So I plug them into my relationships, into my realtors, my wholesalers, all my network. We go out and inspect properties for them, put them under contract, full gut renovate them at cost without the GC markups, with guys that I've built, you know, hundreds of properties with. Then we tenant them, property manage them, and kind of set it and forget it so that it's mailbox money. So I have a bunch of people in that. Even one of my top guys in that program, he's from Toronto. He's from out of the country,
bro. I was just about to ask you. You got to be in Philly for this?
No. The people are from all over. So I have people from Salt Lake City, Toronto, LA, Texas. I have some New Yorkers in it, but it's mostly people who are out of town and are like, hey, I want to invest somewhere where my money goes far and I can build cash flow. So I tap them into my Philly operation and let them get a piece of, you know, of Philly, the 6th largest city in America. And there's a ton of cash flow. It's one of the best. It's a top 10 cash flow city, you know, in the country. So I just tap them in, and it's basically a done for you service. We do it all. And you kind of sit back and watch your property get rehabbed and get your mailbox money. So that's been highly successful.
I like mailbox money. I like the sound.
Yeah, mailbox money. There's no money like mailbox real estate money, where you don't answer the phone when the toilet breaks, the sink breaks, property management handles it, and you just check your account. You get a check every month, and you're just like, man, how do I get more of these properties? There's nothing like it.
Is that a Nipsey Hussle bar or something? No,
that sounds nice. But how can someone get in that program? What are the requirements, like vetting, or what's the process they got to go through?
I mean, it's usually a series of you know, calls and Zooms. Usually, you know, at least a intro call to just feel the person out, kind of talk to them about the process. Then a Zoom call to dive deeper, to understand, you know, what's a good deal, cash position. Are you going to have the capital or the credit to be able to qualify with the different lenders necessary? Right. But it's I don't have, the other thing is I don't have infinite capacity either, because I can't do this for like everybody. I would burn out, and then my people would have a worse experience. So it really is just feeling out people. To be honest, most of the people who end up upgrading to that come from my VIP mentorship program. Right. So it's not even something I market heavily. It's usually people who are in and they're like, hey, I want to upgrade and opt into that boots on the ground and just have you do it. So there are just people out there who are like, I love this real estate stuff, but I want you to just handle it for me. And I'm like, all right, tap into the program and I'll just, you know, take care of it, because I could build 50 houses at once, and it's nothing to me. Like I've already lived it and done it. So it's not even stressful to me at this point. It's just kind of a walk in the park. It's like riding a bike at this point. It didn't start off like that, but now it is. So
speaking of the ease of it, right? And then like you said, feeding the burnout, right? We're not trying to burn out, right? And the only one being one of you. How do you plan on growing, right? How do you plan on expanding? Or are you just going to be comfortable inside of Philly, or like
No, that's a good question. Like I'm planning on opening up Baltimore very soon, because Baltimore is like,
that's closer to me, I think.
Yeah, it's cash flow central. So I'm always building in Baltimore. I've been building in Baltimore since 2014, 2015. So it's cash flow central. I think it's the hottest cash flow city in the country that most people don't know how to tap. So I'm going to open up Baltimore. I'll probably open up Cleveland, and just keep opening up hot spots. How you scale is with virtual assistants. You scale with VAs and training. So the beautiful thing about my 100 Keys Masterclass, I have some of my students, they'll just take the class, hire a virtual assistant and be like, hey, take the course. And it will train your VA on how to like dominate US real estate. But I'm very good at training. If I'm good at anything, it's building systems that don't break at scale. Systems that don't break are the simple ones. The complex systems, they break. The simple systems with a fail safe, you can do it times 1,000, it still won't break. So I build these systems that don't break at scale, and then I just scale the heck out of them. So scaling is a matter of manpower to me. I'm only one person, so I'm not. While I am confident, I'm not arrogant. There's a difference between those two. So I just look at it as how strong can I build my team, and then I just go back and say my team's better and bigger than yours. So like, if you think you're the man and you're arrogant, watch my team eat your lunch. I know who I am. So I'm just like, I'm a guy who will build a bigger team than you, and then my team will eat your lunch. So it's just, if I have any arrogance, it's in my team. It's not in myself and my own ability. I'm still only one person, highly capable, but still, an individual.
And we all got 24 hours in a day, so you can multiply yourself to your whole people. That's what's up. So what's the deal with Airbnb these days? I hear there's a lot of cities are attacking it. They're passing laws, and they're trying to kill the whole short term.
2 rentals per person.
Right. They're trying to kill the short term.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with that? Like,
so it's big money, man. It's big money. It's lobbying, right? So who lost? Let's ask this question. Who lost during the pandemic? Who lost the biggest in the short-term rental market during the pandemic? The hotels.
Landlords?
The hotels.
Yeah, true.
Because they got shut down. The hotels got shut down for the pandemic. And people weren't comfortable going and living in the hotels because did they clean it? Is COVID airborne?
Right.
I don't know.
Everybody go. Yeah, true.
Boom. So people stopped going to these hotels and they lost all the money. Also, the hotels are penalized, right? Because they have to pay these big tax bills and these special rental bills. They have all these bills that they're now lobbying to get pushed to Airbnb people because they're saying, well, we got to pay it. Make the little guy pay it too. But the difference is the little guy doesn't have this multi-million-dollar empire behind him. So when you have to pay it, it eats into your cash flow. It could make it not profitable for you. And they know it. So they're lobbying politicians to pass these things because they want their bread back.
That's what they're doing.
They lost a lot of bread and they want it back. So they'll just push this stuff. It's just like if you bought really close to a major university and you started cranking out to the students and making a bunch of money, they're going to lobby the local politicians against you and ban student housing. They're going to say, oh, this is dangerous for students. They're throwing parties and people are getting hurt.
Filling the dorms.
And they're going to push them back to the dorms. They're trying to push them back to the hotels. So that's what's going on with Airbnb. You also have all of these gurus out there now. You turn on YouTube, hey, if you got an extra bedroom, you should be in Airbnb. It should be on Airbnb.
I saw one today.
Right? Yeah, I gotta see these commercials, right?
I'm like, well, that sounds like a good idea, but
yeah, it does. That's the problem, though, because it sounds like such a good idea that a lot of people are doing. There's an oversupply of Airbnb on the market. And while Airbnb is putting out news saying, oh, we're so profitable, it's so great, there are also blogs and different groups that are talking about Airbnb bust. And they're like, yo, my property's sitting vacant. I'm losing money. I'm bleeding out. And there are thousands of owners who are like this now because these markets are oversaturated. And as we go into a recession, what do people stop doing? What's the first thing to go? Discretionary travel. Discretionary travel. Spending. Yeah. So a lot of that is going to go. That's going to die out. People are going to bleed out in the recession. Because when people invest in Airbnb, if me and you look at an investment and we're going to Section 8 it, we're going to say, all right, Section 8 will pay us like $1,400 a month for this 3-bed. All right, cool. We can lock that in. The house is worth this much. We'll pay this much. The mortgage will be $1,000. This is that. The Airbnb person's like, well, I'll buy the house for $500,000 because I can get $6,000 a month off of it. That's crazy. So they'll go and overpay for these assets and thinking they can get this money. When they can't get that money, they bleed out. They fire sale the properties. And this is happening in markets like Miami right now, which is also what's driving down the housing prices. So
watch out for Airbnb sales.
Well, look, New York just passed a 30-page bill that's going to go into effect January 1st, 2023. 30 pages of regulations against
or
Airbnb.
Yeah,
That's
I
crazy.
saw
30
that.
pages? Like,
they hate us.
I saw that.
Yeah, they're coming for the money.
It's the small dude versus the big dude.
It's the small dude versus the big dude, and paying the politicians to push your agenda. That's what it is. It's that's America, right? So I would steer clear of it, because especially in major cities, I would steer clear of it. If you want to go out and do it in the boonies, in the burbs, you can do it out there because there's less chance of like major regulation. But in the major cities, I will watch it.
That's crazy. What else?
Not to be doom and gloom on Airbnb.
No, that's fine.
I mean, my people out there.
I got a spare bedroom downstairs. I come across those ads all the time, and it's just always like I just stop and think like, you know what I'm saying. And then we got other properties. We got two bedroom condos. My brother doesn't live in one right now. He's with someone else, so it's just there. So it's like, okay, what should we do with it? We thought about renting it out, Airbnb, or they got this nursing program where traveling nurses could come in and
traveling nurses are real
for a few months. Yeah. So we're gonna do something with it. We just don't know yet. We'll probably go to traveling nurses route because it's not necessarily Airbnb route, but there's a need in this area for.
There's a need for that. Yeah, and I've been talking to a ton of traveling nurses. As of recent, there are a bunch of people. They get paid. They get good money, and they will pay. Look, if you have extra bedrooms, if you have some properties already that aren't producing much and you could Airbnb them, go for it. But trying to build an empire of 40 properties, Airbnb, and think you're going to take over the world, you're going to,
maybe in the beginning, right? I'm sure there was people were caking and there was
people are caking, but you don't want that to be able to go away. You don't want it to be able to. The thing is to get paid over and over again for what you did, not for what you're doing. So you want to be able to get that set it, forget it money, and have yourself set up.
We might Airbnb it for something in the water for like those 3 days and just put it up there.
Oh, that's gonna be bank.
Yeah.
How much did we make? We made like $2,000 a night. It's in Virginia Beach, so I mean.
Yeah, that's good money. It's a good location. Yeah.
Let me write that down.
So man. So what do you say to somebody like I said who want to get in the real estate game and they really don't know how to start? Right? Where would you suggest they start to get going?
Get with a mentor, man. Like there's two ways to get into this game. One is the School of Hard Knocks. One is a mentor. Now, here's what they don't tell you about the School of Hard Knocks. And I'm a hard knocker, right? Like I went through that.
Student.
You think it's 2 to 3x the cost of mentorship? It's 100x. I've lost over $500,000 in this game. Easy. That's easy numbers too. How do I do those numbers? If I've done over 300 deals, if I lost $1,500 a deal from not knowing what I was doing, that's $500,000. Easy. So I've lost over $500,000. Like that's conservative. I probably lost over $1 million or maybe a couple million in just mistakes, not knowing what I was doing, trying to figure it out. Mentorship could cost you a couple grand. And can make you that $1 million. If you don't lose that $1 million or that $500,000 or even 50K or the 40K I got burned for when I first got started, and you invest it, you can turn that 40 into 80. Here's the thing I learned about money very, very recently, actually, because I'm always studying. This is another thing. Be a student of the game.
Right.
If you started off with $1,000, you're only 10 doubles away from $1 million.
Right. Yep.
You're only 10 doubles away from $1 million.
Compound.
So if you doubled your money, 10 doubles, 1,000 to 2,000, 2,000 to 4,000, 4,000 to 8,000 to 16 to 32. You're only 10 doubles away from $1 million. So not making mistakes is the fastest way to your $1 million. And mentorship is the fastest way to not making mistakes. So I would say get with somebody, but start small. Start on a small project. Don't get big. A lot of us are like, we have too much ego, so we want to go out and do like I want a 10-unit building, hit like off the rip.
Do you got money?
You gotta stay small. Exactly. Do you have money and can you handle that mistake? Even if you had the money, what if it goes wrong? Can you survive that?
That can bury you.
Yeah, that can bury you. Yeah. You rather start small, learn the lesson, and then gradually you'll get there faster. So the way to get to the top faster is to stay small. And start small. That's the way to get, big the fastest, is to start small.
Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot about mentorship too. Like the game is like learn from somebody who got what you want or who is where you want to be, especially the ones that are actually trying to share and spread knowledge, because there's a lot of them, a lot of moguls out there hoarding information, hoarding knowledge, not really trying to help anybody else and just, hoarding all that. But if you find a mentor that's willing to share, whether it's through a course or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and you want to learn those skills and that talent, go do that. You know what I'm saying? That's what everybody needs to do.
Yeah. And make sure you get to work with the person. Like, there's a lot of courses out there where they're like, it might be this guy, he's putting out all these ads and all this stuff. But then you call in and it's like like the assistant. And then after that assistant, it's another assistant. And then you never talk to the person. You're talking to somebody who's never done a deal and they're trying to coach you, and it doesn't work. So you really need to, if you're going to get in a mentorship program, make sure you can work with the guy in the ad, the guy who's talking, the guy who's done the hundreds of deals. Make sure you can work with them, because that's how you're going to get the value, by actually getting direct mentorship from that person and having access to that person.
That's dope.
A lot of people, Frank, you're right. A lot of people have been saying it lately. I'm just thinking, like, how many people I've heard say, get a mentor lately. So, all right.
Yeah, it's the path.
Though. Be careful with the ads, though, because there's a lot of people putting out ads. I can't tell you how many I've seen. It's just some random dude or a woman I've never seen from anywhere talking about a course they're selling. And I'm just looking at it. It looks skeptical and sketchy. And I'm like, how much you selling that for? And you don't know them from anywhere. But it's important to met the mentor too. Like, if they got a website, look them up, look up the Instagram, look up all their socials, right? Bet your person, make sure they're legit. And then half the time, if you can't find them nowhere else, it's probably not good. Probably a scam. So
absolutely.
What is one misconception that you could say that most people have about obtaining a loan, having good credit, like as far as credit score or what the qualifications got to be? What is one general misconception that a lot of people don't know? They probably could qualify for an amount.
I won't say it's a misconception, but it is a fear. Like, a lot of us, we're afraid. It's much simpler than that. Like, we're afraid to get laughed out of the bank. Guess what? I got laughed out of the bank. My brother, I ran in with a 580, got laughed out, but got a rapid rescore. 3 days later, credit score was bumped up, qualified. My brother laughed out of the bank. Like, don't be afraid to get laughed out of the bank. If you want to know, where you're at, go in. They're not just gonna tell you, oh, you're lousy, get out of here. They're going to tell you exactly what you need to do to improve your score to get qualified, because they want to give you the money. So going in, if you it's like that fail forward mentality. If you get laughed out, you'll be back in a week, you'll be back in a month. It's going to make you stronger. Or you're going to go in. I've had so many people join my mentorship program. One person recently, and they're like, Brian, I've been declined for the last 6 months. I can't stand it. I can't get a loan. I got him pre-qualified for a $700,000 FHA for a multi. Like, go here, do this. And while I'm telling them what to do, they're telling me, no, I've been declined. It's not going to work. It works.
Yeah, it's
fear. It's really just fear, and that's the one thing that the mentor helps with most is fear. Is getting you over the fear, because a lot of the time, you're just afraid to go out and take the steps. So you just need somebody to encourage you and force you to take those steps and just lay it out. Like, no procrastination, no paralysis through analysis. Go do this, and this, and we're going to get straight to the money. And it works. When you work the play works.
There you go, King. So that's you, bro. You probably
I was just qualified today. The whole time he was talking, I said, bro, I need a mentor. Like,
yeah. And we all do. Like, it's I wish I had a mentor early. I would be so much more advanced. But it's like I almost, it's like the School of Hard Knocks is cool, but mentorship is cooler, because it's like wasting money and time. Your youth, our youth is our biggest asset. It's our biggest asset. The older we get, everything starts aching. You have less energy. You're more distracted. You got the kids. You got the this, the that. Your youth is your biggest asset. So getting to the mentorship allows somebody who's lived it already to give you the straight line path.
It down, yeah.
And it's like, man, it's really invaluable. You can't really put a price on good mentorship. It's always almost undervalued in terms of the price that's actually put on it. Because it's like, how could I put a price on something that cost me millions of dollars worth of game? If I charge you a couple grand even,
That's still low.
It's like
right.
A lot of people don't get that though, because they're like, well, I could get in this course from this guy for $500. It's like, but he's going to give you $500 worth of game.
But they'll run to a university and take out a loan for 50, 60, 70, 80,000, right? Yeah. And then run to the 4-year college to get a piece of paper that says they know some shit. But
you know nothing. It is another conversation, but it's definitely worth touching on. What do they teach you? Like physics, geometry, calculus, algebra. None of that makes you any money out here, unless you're going to be a mathematician or an engineer.
Which you could be a professor and teach it back to them. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But this real estate stuff, you just need to know basic math, and it's a blue collar game. I mean, that if it's one thing I love about real estate is how blue collar it is. This will shock the people who are white collar, and you have your HR department, and you don't like somebody, and you can run to them. In real estate, you got to chest to chest with somebody and really go hash it out. But once you get that, and that's why the hard hat is there. But once you get that mindset, you love it, because you're like, man, I can just make money here. There's nobody on my back, and you will have real financial freedom. Like get up, do what you want to do all day. And nobody will pay you more than real estate will pay you. That's the beautiful thing. If you're married, your wife will tell you can't go back to work, because you're never going to get paid what this real estate paying. Oh yeah, and then you got a real problem. You know,
that's really real.
That's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah,
that's real.
You can't go back.
Well, Mr. Grimes, thank you so much for coming through the Figuring Shit Out podcast. We definitely appreciate you. Drop some gems. Yeah. Anything you want to promote? Did you drop your website? I don't remember hearing it. You got your website, your socials, your YouTube channel. You got a YouTube channel?
He got a link tree in his Instagram DM.
Yeah, I got a link tree on the Instagram. The YouTube is Brian Loves Cash Flow, and that's easy to remember because I love cash flow. So Brian Loves Cash Flow on YouTube. The Instagram, Brian Grimes _247 CFU for the 24/7 Cash Flow University. We got the TikTok, Grimes Estate on TikTok, or just type in Brian Grimes Real Estate on TikTok. The LinkedIn, Brian Grimes Real Estate, LinkedIn, and all of it backtracks to a free training I have for you guys. You can find that on www.workwithgrimes.com/cashflow, workwithgrimes.com/cashflow. And that's a free training that'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country, using some advanced creative financing strategies that you don't even need cash or credit to invest. And this is some of the stuff that I learned actually from Robert Kiyosaki masterminds.
I love him. He's dope. He's dope as shit.
Yeah, there's some serious game out there. So even if you don't have good credit or a bunch of cash, you can still get in the game. You just need more knowledge. So there's money and knowledge in this game. So if you have a ton of money, if you have $1 million, you don't need any knowledge. Just go burn through the million. You'll figure it out. If you have no money, then you need $1 million worth of game. You need the knowledge so that you can get it done without all the money. So you need one or the other. If you have both, then you're crushing it. So that's how to get a hold of me. And like I said, we do mastermind calls every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom. So we're always giving back knowledge and giving free game and free coaching as well. So definitely tap in. Anybody who's looking to get started. Now, this is a lot of fun, guys. You guys have a good energy to your podcast. So this was a ton of fun. I appreciate you guys for having me on.
We're gonna be in touch. I might be hitting you up for that class. I don't know. I'll let you know.
Well, I know.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. Let's definitely stay in touch, man.
Okay.
Let's definitely stay in touch.
All right, bro.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Good night.
Appreciate it. All right.
Peace out.
From the Henleys, let us help you celebrate this holiday season and set the musical mood for your holiday festivities while trimming the tree, gathering with friends and family, and of course, above all, worshiping. Download a Henley Holiday, streaming now on all platforms. Merry Christmas!